Well, welcome to our first webinar of the Standout Strategy series. This one is focused around finding a more strategic approach to your job search. So hoping to take something that feels kind of nebulous and overwhelming and what can seem like a really big task and really just breaking it down to make it much more manageable. I'm Annie Montemayor, and I'm a career coach with the UBCC. All right. So the three key tips that I'm going to talk about today are really setting setting a schedule and an agenda for your job search. So instead of kind of a haphazard approach, doing it whenever you can make time, it's about setting aside time to really focus on it. We're also going to talk about finding the right words. In other words, keywords that work really well for your search. And then we're also going to talk about making technology do some of the work for you. All right. So that first component, really scheduling time for your job search is important because this sets aside quality time for you to focus and schedule this into your life. The hard part about the job search, much like studying for a test, is that there's not necessarily a clear finish line until you've done the test or until you've gotten the job. So it can feel hard because it always feels like you could be doing something more. You could be studying more, right? You could be applying for more jobs. You could be working on your resume more, right? So by setting boundaries around that time, it helps you make time for it and for you to just feel better about it, right? And to feel less guilty, right? You shouldn't always be doing something more because you've set aside specific time for your job search. So what we suggest is building yourself a schedule that you keep every week, right? Maybe 2-hour chunk blocks of time that you can sit down and really focus on your job search. This is just an example, right? Just a visual, right? When do you have time for it? When do you have energy for it? If you decide you need a break and you don't want to do the job search on Saturday or Sunday, that's okay. This is your schedule and you're setting the time. The idea, though, is that you have this concentrated energy time to this versus something that looks a little bit more like this, right? A short burst that's a little bit here. Maybe you're checking job boards in between classes. Maybe you're just submitting something real quick because you saw kind of a last minute application deadline, whatever it might be. This, having a chunk of time a few times a week, is a lot more effective and I would say less stressful than trying to just fit things in kind of willy-nilly all over the place. So after you've set that schedule, right, after you've found the time for it, you want to set the agenda too. So you want to designate similar tasks for every block of time, right? So it's something easy that you can repeat. There's structure you don't have to think about, right? So what you might do is, let's say on Monday 5 to 7 you have a job search time. The tasks that you need to get done that Monday are to check job postings, right? So go through your list of job boards, whether it's Handshake or specialized job boards, whatever it might be, to look for new job postings. There are also some easier ways to do that kind of simplify it that we'll get to in a few slides. But the idea is that you're checking postings, you're evaluating them to decide, is this something that I want to apply for, right? So just doing that bit of work where you're checking all the job boards, right? The idea is you're doing this weekly then, so you're not missing anything. You're evaluating them, reading them a little in depth to figure out, is this something that I'm really interested in? Is this what I want to put my time towards? Do I want to apply for this? And then you've kind of created that short list of positions, and it might be longer. It depends on kind of your search and what you're interested in, but you've at least narrowed down, okay, this week I'm applying to a business analyst role here, a business analyst role there, a business analyst role there, right? You've got your few job postings that you're going to focus on. So then on Wednesday from 9 to 11, you're going to read those a little bit more thoroughly. You're going to take notes of skills, keywords, experience, whatever that job posting is mentioning that you want to make sure to include in your application, right? Those are the things that you want to highlight in your application. And you might spend some time doing a little research on the company as well, so that you can kind of gather all the information you need to then, on your Friday time slot, revise your resume, your cover letter if it's required, and then to submit the application. And then, of course, to make note of that application and the details in some sort of tracking document, because that helps you just keep track of everything. You know when you need to send an email to a recruiter to check in on the timeline or to follow up with questions or whatever it might be. Create some, even if it's just a simple Excel document with dates that you've submitted things, if you've sent an email to someone, some relevant context, because that helps organize everything. And again, this is just an example of a schedule and the agendas for that schedule too, right? Yours might look really different from this, but the general idea is set aside a chunk of time 3 times a week, right? And you decide based on your schedule, right? Look 4 to 6 weeks out, kind of see what your schedule is like, see what your class load is like, whatever it might be, and set up something that makes sense for you. But at least do a couple chunks of time to really dedicate to it. All right, that second tip, finding the right words or the keywords. So you'll notice I just mentioned the title business analyst. That's one of a very kind of lazy broad term for a job, and it could look really different across all sorts of different organizations, because a job title at company A does not necessarily mean it's the same job, the same duties as company B with that title. So it's important to recognize that the right keyword is not always the job title, but what it could be is something like certain skills, certain job duties. It might even be, a software. Maybe if you're interested in a marketing role and you know that you just really like creating the creative components of a campaign and you really like using Canva or some kind of program or software, maybe you start to recognize that that kind of keyword comes up in a lot of the job postings that you're interested in. So to do that, you actually want to, focus on maybe 5 to 10 job postings, that are of interest to you, and go through there and really read and start highlighting the words that you see coming up again and again, right? Are there certain skills? Are there certain job duties? What is it that you keep finding in these job postings that are so interesting to you? Because that's going to be a good keyword for you to search by, right? So if the job title isn't really bringing up good examples for you, if it's not bringing up good jobs and roles that fit your interests and your needs, then make sure you're branching out and exploring other keywords that come up, right? Again, if it's skills, if it's experience, if it's a software program, whatever it might be that you're noticing a trend in. And that third component is really making technology do some work for you, right? Because there are some really simple setups that you can use in Handshake and other job boards that make it easier for you to get notifications. So when a new job is posted that fits your search, that fits your interests, you get an email to let you know. So you don't have to worry about constantly checking that job board, right? And it even, remember when you've created your schedule, say you've got that 5 to 7 block on Monday, well, you can kind of just tag these emails, right? Maybe you've gotten the newest jobs sent to you that are kind of the best bets, and that minimizes some of that work. You don't have to go back on to Handshake or whatever it might be to look from scratch. So a couple ways that you can do this is using a saved search. So say you found those keywords, right? Maybe you found some of those keywords that work really well and keep bringing up good jobs for you. What you can do, and I'll show you how to do this in just a minute, is save that search so that you just have to click a button And Handshake will bring up that same search for you with the exact keywords or filters that you've used in the past, so that you don't have to remember exactly, what did I use when I put that in there. And then a job search agent is, a job alert or a notification. Essentially, you set up kind of like the email reminder so that if a new job is posted that fits your specifications, you get that direct email. So let's see how that works on Handshake. All right, so main page here, if you're going to search for jobs, maybe you type in a keyword that fits, maybe you find a couple filters, full-time roles, we'll say commercial banking, and show results. Let's say that brings up a lot of good search results for you. Clearly, it's a little all over the board here, but this is just an example. But say you've got the keywords all perfect and you're getting good results. Over here in the left-hand side, you click Save Your Search, and it's created a job alert for you. So now it's important to make sure that your notifications are set so that you'll actually get emails and notifications when new jobs are posted that fit that search. So under here in your notifications tab, you can set your notifications. You can do anything by email. There are a couple that you can do a push notification on your cell phone to make sure that you're getting an alert when something new and interesting comes up. And then over here in this job alert tab, you can also see these are saved searches and you can rename these. But this is that one that we just created. So if I click that, it takes me back to that search filter that I just created. So that's one way that you can create kind of a quick, easy workaround to make technology do some work for you. The other thing that's important is in Handshake is if you have particular companies that you're interested in working for, you can go to this employers tab. Let's say 3M is an employer of interest. There you go. I'm already following them. Maybe there's another company that I'm interested in. I can follow them. And then once you're following them, you're going to get an email every time they post a new job. And my final handshake tip is to make sure you have your profile filled out and up to date. Because just like LinkedIn, where recruiters can search your profile and reach out to you if they're trying to fill a job, employers do that on Handshake as well. So make sure you have your profile filled out. You've got an up-to-date resume here, and definitely make sure that you fill in your interests and skills, because again, those are things that employers can search by, and Handshake and us at Carlson and the University of Minnesota can send you targeted messages about upcoming events or resources or whatever it might be. So the more you have this filled out, the better it's going to work for you. So again, make technology do some of the work for you by setting up those alerts, by doing your saved searches, by following companies of interest. All right. So we're wrapping up here. Remember, most importantly, that if you have questions around the job search or anything related to career, you can set up an appointment with us one-on-one, or you can always access our online resources at z.umn.edu/UBCC.